My precious child, this moment is far from ordinary. I had my eyes on you long before you stumbled upon this message. This is a divine appointment, not a random scroll. You were drawn here on purpose. Every delay and distraction that tried to keep you away was a hidden battle against what I'm now releasing into your life. Like this video to claim God blessings. You may not fully grasp how many angels were stationed to protect this sacred moment so your heart could receive this word. I've been waiting for you to be in a place to accept what I've been keeping for you, and not because I needed more time, but because the right moment had to arrive. No eye has witnessed it. No ear has heard it. But beauty is about to break forth. This isn't the beginning of a breakthrough, it's already begun. The first drop from the long-blocked river has been released, and your simple act of pausing has allowed it to flow. This is my response to every time you wondered if I was still by your side. With your $50 super thanks contribution, you're helping to share God's love and message with more people. Your support makes a big impact, and together, we can spread blessings far and wide. May God's grace return to you abundantly. I've been waiting, not passively, but with intensity and devotion, shielding your destiny with firm determination. Your silence never meant I had left. I was watching heaven's clock tick toward this divine unveiling. This message carries more than words, so it's filled with divine feeling. Because you made space in your heart for me to move, I'm shifting the spiritual atmosphere around you. I'm not distant, I'm closer than you think. I've come bearing gifts clothed in glory. When you give thanks, it's more than gratitude, it's a declaration of your trust in my provision and your willingness to spread this light to those still searching. Stop looking for signs, I am the sign. Every tear, every stirring, and that burning in your chest are divine confirmations. You've reached a depth of purpose that only faith could lead you to. Don't flinch now. The very foundation of your story is about to be transformed. From the ashes, I will bring beauty in ways that will leave those who overlooked you amazed. So stay alert. You are not forgotten. You've been chosen for something sacred. The beautiful promise I gave you in the darkness is only beginning to unfold. There has always been a divine schedule, one that does not follow the world's timing. Your steps have been precisely arranged to align with this exact moment. You thought you missed it. You assumed the door had closed, or the opportunity passed you by. But I never agreed with that thought. I don't operate in delay, I move by divine timing. This is the holy moment where readiness meets purpose. You couldn't explain every twist in your journey. But my unseen guidance brought you here while protecting you from the enemy's interference. Every long detour was part of my plan. I hid the surprise so well even from you. While others rushed ahead trying to build momentum, I was shaping something in you that could not be broken. You're not late. You're right on time, you arriving clothed in obedience, covered in grace, and carrying the perseverance that only comes from waiting well. This wasn't a punishment. It was protection for the power I knew would be released once you stepped into position. That's why I closed certain doors. While you were walking blind, I was crafting a crown only you could wear. Don't mourn the time you thought was wasted. The future is returning with even more glory for every second lost. I am the witness to your entrance into what has always been yours. This next chapter won't need anyone's permission, applause, or validation. I was watching hearts, and yours remained loyal under pressure. While others kept their eyes on the clock, your hope stayed anchored in me. I brought you here to overflow, not just to survive. The enemy would have tried to destroy what you didn't yet know how to protect. So I kept the celebration hidden until now. But your spirit has been trained. Your discernment has matured. Your tears have turned into anointing. There's a purpose for this hour. It is the arrival of a heavenly announcement. Right on schedule. Right on path. Right on target. Don't be afraid to show up now. I'm not just offering you a seat, I'm giving you the keys. Not so you can sit back, but so you can unlock, reign, and thrive. Everything you carried, every silent battle you faced, was not in vain. I've brought you here whole, with nothing broken, nothing missing, and nothing that needs explanation. Now that you've stepped into divine rhythm, an invisible acceleration has begun. I'm granting you access to what others have waited years to receive. You stayed when it would have been easy to run. Not because you earned it, but because your surrender caught my heart. I respond to persistence, not performance. Welcome to the future where your past can't follow you. You didn't miss it, the heavens opened, and you entered. You no longer need to wander. You've already won the spiritual battle. What was once resisted is now released. This is more than hope, it's already been decided in your favor. Victory echoes over you now. This is happening. Even if your eyes can't see it yet, the invisible has bowed to my authority. I sent angels before you to flatten the mountains that would have crushed you. I silenced voices that would have shaken your faith. Right as I was about to raise you up, I realigned everything. Plans were reversed. Chains were broken in secret. And this very message is me giving you a glimpse. I haven't been silent, I've been strategic. Each delay was a setup, not a shutdown. Every closed door protected your promise. Miracles have already been marked with your name. Your life is aligned with an unshakable yes from heaven. The winds are blowing in your favor because I command them. Your seasons are shifting as you breathe here because I author them. Let this truth sink into your spirit. It's not going to happen. It's already begun. My words never return void. What I whispered in private is about to thunder in public. The change you've been sensing is real. Heaven has been birthing something in you. That restless feeling beneath the surface was me loosening chains. That fire you felt was refining. That silence was a trumpet being lifted. Now, the trumpet sounds are not with noise, but with manifestation. Let me make this clear. You won't have to explain yourself anymore. My favor will say what words cannot. My blessings will be undeniable. Those who walked away will now be witnesses. You are entering a new chapter, one untouched by your past pain. It will honor your healing. Your restoration will amaze those who once only saw your brokenness. I never asked you to hide in shame. I've given you boldness, wrapped in healing. What I'm doing now will carry your name into places your feet haven't touched. This is not man's reward, it's my divine compensation. You wept in secret. But now, before the eyes I've gathered, I respond with undeniable power. The walls that confined you are falling with divine force. The hand that held you back has been removed. Every unseen obstacle that slowed you down are gone. Every repetitive cycle that should have ended long ago broken. Every blockage that made you question whether I still saw you removed. It's all being overthrown right now. You're no longer stuck. What was delayed is now complete. I have aligned my time with your faith. The rhythm is shifting from slow to miraculous. You no longer need to wait for a breakthrough, it's already moving toward you. While you were unsure, I was removing every source of delay. You weren't being punished for carrying the weight. I was holding back until the unstoppable was ready. No time was lost. Every stolen moment was being stored. And now, I'm returning it multiplied. What others wait a lifetime for, you'll see in days. What looked irreparable will be restored in weeks. This isn't luck, it's divine precision carried by angels. I'm redeeming the time. You thought the waiting was meaningless. But I was building layers into your blessing, a strength, wisdom, and depth. Things that will sustain it when others collapse. I give fully, not just quickly. You'll experience wave after wave of fulfillment. Now that I've released what was held back, expect everything to align easily. Expect answers before problems arise. Expect divine appointments before you even knock. This isn't normal flow. This is sacred movement. Earth's rules don't apply to this holy speed. It bends them. Mountains that once ignored you will now yield. Calls are coming that shift entire seasons. Chains will fall without a touch. You stayed still long enough for me to clear the way. Not because you forced it, but because you waited. You never had to kick down the door. And now I'm swinging them wide. Don't apologize for how fast things shift. This is what happens when heaven moves. When doors open quickly, don't fear it. Don't question the gift because it came fast. This isn't skipping the process. I held the promise back until your character was strong enough to carry it. And now, you're stepping into it. This is the moment of divine acceleration. A heavenly surge in response to years of quiet faith. Not by effort. Not by striving. You stood before doors that mocked your prayers. Doors that shut as if you didn't deserve to enter. You pleaded. You knocked until your strength ran dry. You hoped with an aching heart. And still nothing moved. But listen to me now. You were never meant to open it yourself. I never asked you to pick the lock of your destiny. The door only opens by my power. So it didn't respond to your voice, it waited for mine. And now, I am speaking. What the world said was sealed opens with one breath from heaven. Not by force. Not with noise. I'm not pushing it. I'm releasing it. Every no you heard wasn't a rejection of your worth. It was protection for your access. You were kept out, and not to punish you but to keep you from entering unready spaces. I don't offer cracked doors. I provide open gates, backed by my seal. This opening is no accident. It's matured, holy permission. And once I open something, no system, voice, or power can close it. Walls that once whispered not for you will now echo welcome. What was hidden will now serve you. Not by striving, but by surrender, doors will open wide. You no longer have to beg. Walk through confidently. This entrance is not random. It's the fulfillment of a long-standing promise. And I'm not just letting you walk in, I'm going with you. What waits beyond the door isn't potential, it's prepared. You once thought certain places were too lofty for your name to be spoken. But now, I'm placing you there. No longer a knocker, you are a key holder. Soon, others will ask, how did you get in? And you'll say, by grace, not effort. Once I open, no one can close. Once I grant access, no one can deny. This path I once watched from the outset is now yours to walk. No more watching through glass. No more waiting as dreams pass by. You're stepping into what only my power could provide. And everything changes not just around you, but inside of you. This is about what I'm unlocking within. You were never rejected. I simply timed the door perfectly for your rising. You've heard voices internal and external are telling you it's too late, too far, too broken. They tried to label your situation as hopeless. But the enemy forgot something. I specialize in the impossible. I don't avoid ruins, I walk into them and call forth life. I don't shy from brokenness, I light it up with hope. Now I'm displaying my unstoppable strength in the very places where the enemy mocked your weakness. You are not walking into a barely surviving season. You are stepping into a miracle that was forged in the fire of impossibility. My power will now be clearly revealed in the same places you tried to hide in shame, thinking they were beyond repair. I'm turning ridicule into revelation. I'm transforming closed chapters into living proof. This is not a repair, it is a resurrection. All I need is your faith. You don't need proof that it's possible. I was preparing a move so undeniable that no one will claim it was the work of man. You thought the chaos disqualified you. But your breakthrough carries the marks of my hand. I will make it so clear that even your enemies will say, this had to be God. The storm that tried to drown you was only the setting for the brilliance I'm about to reveal through your story. And it won't just be a personal victory. It will shift generations. What they called hopeless, I now call sacred. What they called failure, I now call foundation. No one else can take credit for this. That's why I waited until it seemed impossible. I brought you to the edge of despair, and not to abandon you but to show myself most deeply and permanently. You won't just call me your promise keeper. You'll know me as the one who rewrites endings and steps into the impossible. I'm not just working behind the scenes. I'm stepping directly into the center of your circumstances. And when I do, it won't be silent. Timelines will shift. Atmospheres will shake. Hearts will turn to me, the God who defies what man believes cannot be undone. Sometimes I release blessings broadly. But this is not one of those times. This outpouring of favor is specific. It's shaped for your soul. Designed with your exact journey in mind. This miracle was never lost. It's targeted, intentional, and sealed as a sign for you. You don't have to fight for it. You don't have to prove you're worthy. I was drawn to the raw strength of your surrender. Even when nothing made sense, you still yielded to me. Your path was destined to hold this discovery long before you were born. But it had to be developed in isolation. In fire. In the very battles that tried to break you. Every hardship that tried to remove your name from the promise only etched it deeper in my records. You weren't forgotten. You were hidden. And what I've prepared won't fall into the wrong hands during this sacred unveiling. It cannot be intercepted. It cannot be delayed any longer. I've chosen the exact moment for your breakthrough. And when it touches the earth, it will make a sound all its own. Even if you hide, it will find you. Even if you hesitate, it will chase you down. Even if you feel unready, it will rest upon you. This isn't borrowed hope. It's a birthright being fulfilled. This isn't a generic blessing, it's personal. It recognizes your voice. It carries my authority and is stamped with your identity. No one else can claim the results of your journey. The environment around you is shifting to make room for what belongs to you. I'm cutting away counterfeit paths, clearing false connections, and preparing fertile ground for what's been reserved for you. Don't hesitate. Don't doubt it now. It's too divinely orchestrated to be overlooked. You weren't burdened because you were weak. You were chosen to carry what others couldn't. This promise was delayed only so it could arrive in a form no one could deny. It won't look like what you expected. It will exceed it. You won't have to raise your voice to claim it. My glory on it will speak for itself. Watch as what once opposed you now embraces you. Doors won't just open, they'll swing wide in your direction. Those who once dismissed your purpose will now witness your elevation. The very circumstances that drained you will now support your vision. The time of indecision is over. The pages of your life are turning rapidly now. Nothing can stop what I've started. Your name is attached to it. And this time nothing will interfere. I saw you make the right choice when no one was cheering. I saw you turn away from shortcuts when compromise looked easier. You still said yes to me in the silence when no one was watching. Not for praise, but because you truly loved me. You trusted me even when you didn't know when light would return. You walked the hidden path with trembling steps. And because of your quiet obedience, I'm now stepping into the scene to reveal what I've been keeping in reserve. Now, the unseen sacrifices are sprouting into visible harvest. What I'm releasing is based on posture and not performance. While others performed for attention, you stood in position with purpose. They chased platforms. You pursued my presence. I remember the nights you laid aside your own plans to let me write mine. I haven't forgotten every time you gave without expecting recognition. Every time it hurt, and you chose to love instead. Those were sacred moments to me. And now I am bringing them to life here, not hidden in the shadows, but in radiant light. I won't just whisper my joy over you. I will display it. The obedience you kept private will now shine as bright as morning light. Those who never knew the cost of your sacrifice will now see the honor I place on your life. This isn't for show. It's proof that I reward what man fails to notice. You don't have to explain your process. You don't have to defend your path. I will be your unveiling. I will do the lifting. I will make the announcement. The tables are turning in your favor, not out of revenge, but divine justice. Those who counted you out will now see me call you forward. Your seat will be placed with honor. You will walk into places that once overlooked you. What was hidden will now shine. What was quiet will now sing. The tears you silenced will roar with joy. You didn't obey for applause. But you will inherit something that no critic can deny. You can no longer hide the fruit that's growing from soil you privately tilled. Watch how I raise you up. Not to prove your worth but to show my faithfulness. The blessing is not just in what you receive, but in who you've become when no one else saw. I saw how exhausted you became in this last season. It wasn't just physical tiredness. It was the kind of weariness that made even hope feel heavy. You tried everything, but the ground remained hard. There was more silence than support, yet you kept going. You searched for strength in places that once fueled you but found only emptiness. Now hear me clearly. What you thought was a season of mourning was actually sacred planting. I'm talking about my seeds and not your dreams. The tears that soaked the dirt held promise. I didn't waste your pain, or I planted it. What you thought was the end was really the start of deeper roots. The drought didn't destroy you, it prepared you. There was no death in the drought, only formation. You weren't failing, you were being positioned. Others moved fast on shallow ground, but I was securing you in places storms can't reach. And now that same dry ground is ready to break open. What was crushed in silence will rise in strength and purpose. Every tired breath, every slow step, every yes through tears built something eternal. This is not just a breakthrough. This is resurrection. What you thought would be your ending will become the source of your testimony's growth. The thing that tried to drain you will now declare that I am faithful. The sound of abundance is about to ring through what once felt empty. When people ask how it happened, you'll point to the very place they thought was cursed and say, right there. That's where he met me. I'm not ignoring your wilderness. I'm transforming it. I'm not erasing the memory, I'm redeeming the meaning. The pain you endured is now the very soil where beauty grows. Not just for you but for others walking through their own dark nights. Your scars will become signs of mercy. Your story will be bold and not bitter. You won't return to how things were. This is becoming something entirely new. Don't let the former season break you. The earth is ready. The soil has been tilled. The roots have held strong. The fruit is rising. And the testimony will be undeniable. Not because the journey was easier but because you remained when it made more sense to leave. You felt overlooked. But now, I breathe upon it, and beauty will rise without apology from the depths of your weariness. They closed the book on you. They judged your story finished because it didn't fit their idea of success. They stamped your journey with labels so unseen: endings, false opinions, rumors disguised as prophecy. they said you had reached your limit. But I do not write with human punctuation. Where they put a period, I'm placing a comma. Where they wrote the end, I'm releasing a brand new volume. I don't transform lives based on popularity. I restore according to purpose. What they called failure, I now call the starting line. I don't discard broken stories, so I refine them until they shine. You are not what they thought you were. You are the fulfillment of my promise. I heard every word spoken behind your back. I saw the pity in their eyes. I noticed the distance they created when things didn't go your way. I saw them leave you right before I began my greatest work. And now, as both author and finisher, I stand not to explain, not to argue, but to reveal what only I could write. I'm removing shame from your story. I'm tearing out the pages written in fear, compromise, and smallness. I'm replacing them with declarations of victory. What I'm about to do will astonish even you. I will erase the negativity tied to your name and replace it with the glory that only heaven can restore. When I write, I don't just fix, so I elevate. I take what was once a place of mourning and make it a monument. I revisit the chapters you tried to forget and add wonders you never imagined. This isn't just a correction. It's a resurrection. No one is editing your story just to survive. I am rewriting it for legacy. I don't recycle what's been done. I revive it with purpose. Now those who doubted you will see a story filled with divine evidence. Every line will bear my fingerprint. And no one will be able to deny it. You don't have to plead your case. Your life will be the testimony. I promise. You don't have to argue your value. I'm putting it on display like the sun after the storm. They're going to have to tear up the ending they expected. Don't follow the path they drew toward failure. You're stepping into a radiant truth, where my glory colors every page. Lift your head. I'm still writing. And I always write the final word. There were moments the darkness consumed you so deeply, you forgot what light even looked like. There were times when the silence screamed louder than comfort. You felt like the ground beneath you would never steady again. You questioned everything: your mindiness, your path, your calling. The enemy hoped you'd never see the truth. But what you didn't realize is I was setting the stage for the greatest shift of your life. At the very moment you felt most abandoned, I was moving. Not everything I do happens in daylight. In the dark, I birth miracles. While you grieved what was collapsing, I was tending to what would rise from the ashes. I didn't wait for your strength. I buried the seed of your next season in the soil of your surrender. It didn't feel like progress. It didn't feel like breakthrough. But every tear, every sigh, every breathless moment was watering what I had quietly begun. You thought you had been buried. But I was protecting the roots. You mistook the silence for absence. But I was planning connections, divine gatherings, and spiritual alignment ready to bloom. The pain that silenced you was never the end. It was a pause. You were blind to it then, but the roots were gripping tightly as I rewrote the rhythm of your destiny. Now, the very ground that tried to swallow you is trembling, and not with judgment, but with resurrection. Everything I tucked away in your tears is about to burst forth. You won't have to force it. The evidence will grow before your eyes. And its fragrance will carry my signature, my timing, and my mercy. This is not a display miracle. It's a warning to anyone who believed the darkness meant I was finished speaking. I use the night to prepare the dawn. I use suffering to prepare the promise. And because you endured, my beloved, you are now stepping into a garden. You had no idea what was growing in the silence. But now, I'm removing the veil. When what once felt like loss blooms with color, it will shine with redemption. You'll look at each petal and trace it back to the moment you thought was your lowest. And you'll realize here that was when heaven whispered, "Let's begin." When it seemed like everything was slipping through your fingers, I was laying the foundation. When opportunities vanished, relationships dissolved, and your dreams shattered, you thought you had failed. You wondered if you missed something critical. If you had gone the wrong way. You doubted your judgment. You questioned the timing. You even questioned your worth. But let me show you my perspective. What you called loss was me positioning you not because you were behind, but because I was pulling you back to launch you forward. Just like an arrow must be drawn back before it flies, so were you. I allowed the tension. I allowed the silence. Because your next move wasn't just a step, it was a launch. I wasn't punishing you. I was preserving your strength for the altitude you were destined to reach. Every closed door. Every broken connection. Every halted dream was part of the launch sequence. You couldn't remain where you didn't belong. I wouldn't let you. You couldn't build in a place I was tearing down. You couldn't keep pouring into wells that had run dry. And I couldn't allow it. You weren't losing. I was intervening before harm took root. The failures were not defeat. They were divine redirections. They were heavenly pullbacks to aim you toward doors you never thought to knock on. I've charted a path that won't require human effort, but supernatural wind. That's why you had to let go of old structures. I didn't want you to stumble, I wanted you to soar. I didn't want you to be tied down, I wanted you to be free. I needed your hands empty so I could place in them the very thing that's about to bloom. Now that the pressure has built. Now that you've learned to trust me even when it looked like ruin. Now that your heart has been reshaped for more than survival. I am releasing you into divine velocity. Where what once held you back will now witness your eyes. You are ascending not because of your wings, but because of the force behind your pull. And when you reach the place I've prepared, you'll see that nothing was wasted. Not a single moment. Everything was kept. Everything was woven. Nothing was stolen. All of it was exchanged for eternal purpose. So get ready. The launch is now. You're not falling, you're flying. You're rising higher than they expected. And faster than you imagined. The ache in your heart, I never overlooked it. The silent storms that woke you in the night, I saw everyone. The weight you carried just to keep breathing, I was there. I saw the scars no one acknowledged. You were too afraid to speak them out loud, but I heard them. Why did it hurt so much? Why did I allow the tears to go so deep? Why didn't I stop the thing that caused you pain? Now listen closely. Not a drop of your suffering was wasted. This world desperately needs a message, and I was writing it through you. At the very place where your soul was pierced, others are about to find truth. The same fire that tried to destroy you has refined your voice. And I am using your pain as power. You won't speak from theory. You'll speak from encounter. My oil is flowing through the cracks in your heart. It is anointing your scars with purpose and clarity. There was always a reason for the pain. Yes, the prophecy was real. I let the suffering dig deeper so your reach could stretch farther. What others ignored, I let you feel, so when you speak, shackles will fall. Your testimony is not just a story. It is a doorway. And through it, others will walk into freedom. I'm not giving you a title. I'm giving you intimacy. This ministry won't flow from ego, it will flow from experience. Your hands won't be marked by shame, but by strength, are ready to lift others out of pits you once fell into. This season crushed you, but now it crowns you. Not with pride, but with power. Not with fame, but with depth. The weight you carry will demand attention, and not because of charisma, but because I filled your voice with fire, your tone with grace, and your gaze with truth. When you walk into rooms, the atmosphere will shift. Not because you were never broken, but because I rebuilt you stronger than before. Watch how what once silenced you now amplifies the sound of heaven through you. Watch how those who mocked your tears now return, seeking the oil they helped produce. I am sending you out, and not because of your pain, but because of who you've become. From now on, your sorrow will serve an unshakable prophetic purpose. When you speak, even silence will listen. You stood at the edge of what you longed for, and heard a firm number. You knocked with fragile hope, and found only closed doors and quiet rooms. You trusted people and plans that seemed right but left you empty and confused. You wondered if I ignored your desire. If you did something wrong. If you just weren't enough. But hear me now. Every denial was divine. I blocked every door that would have distracted you. I kept you from paths that would have drained you. Those partnerships, jobs, and routes you believed in weren't meant to carry your destiny. Had I allowed it, they would have weakened your power, dimmed your fire, and distorted your purpose. I didn't say no because you weren't worthy. I said no because you are too important to settle. That no wasn't rejection, it was redirection. Before time ever touched your life, I had crafted one yes. And now, that yes is closer than you realize. When it arrives, it won't resemble what you've known. It will surpass it. It will come dressed in peace, wrapped in clarity, and fitted perfectly to your capacity. You won't have to force it. It will flow. It won't be easier, but it will align with who I created you to be. And if you believe Jesus Christ has brought light and hope into your life here, then walk with us in this sacred journey. Subscribe to the truth of my presence. And receive daily my love, my peace, and my blessing. In Jesus' name. Amen.